Now at 5, after last night's severe weather, we have more going on right now. I'll have the latest in your Live Doppler 15 Fury forecast.
Plus, Salina's mayor says his city looks like a war zone after a tornado rolled through the area. We spoke to the Ohio governor as he toured the damage and talked with residents. That's coming up in a live report.
And in Grant County, residents are doing much of the same as people are picking up the pieces and surveying the damage. We'll have the latest on the tornado that touched down there. We have team coverage. I'm Dirk Rowley. First at 5 starts now.
You're watching local coverage you can count on. This is Wayne 15 News, first at 5.
After a dangerous night of severe storms swept through our area, officials and residents are now assessing the damage. So far, we've confirmed with the National Weather Service that 2 tornadoes have touched down in our area. The Wayne 15 team has been crisscrossing through Indiana and Ohio to see how the recovery process is going. And we have team coverage tonight. Wayne 15's Rachel Russell is in Salina, Ohio, where the governor toured some of the damage, and she spoke with some Ohioans who are cleaning up their lives. Wayne 15's Adam Solarzik was in Grant County, which is one of 2 counties where the National Weather Service is focusing their attention in Indiana after surveying the damage. But we start with Chief Meteorologist Nicholas Ferrari, who's already tracking some severe weather, as you've seen. And Nicholas, we're in for another bumpy ride today.
Yeah, that's right. You've seen a lot of me during Rachel Ray and Judge Judy. The thunderstorms have developed in the heat of the day along a warm front that's positioned across the region. And we have a thunderstorm watch in effect for areas from Fort Wayne, Defiance, Columbia City on to the south. Not much happening to the north. Just like last night, you're going to miss out on a lot of the severe weather activity if you're in places like LaGrange, Angola, across Kendallville, Auburn as well. Storm threats tonight will come in these areas. Hail and flooding. Those are our 2 primary concerns. That's where we've already seen the biggest impacts tonight. We do have active warnings, including a flash flood warning for areas to the south of Fort Wayne. You can see temperatures have risen into the 70s and the 80s. It is the area to the south of Fort Wayne, basically from Wabash through Huntington over to Bluffton and Decatur, where our prime flood threats will come. We'll switch on the warnings here. You can see those areas highlighted in red from Wabash over to Bluffton, potential flash flooding occurring. That storm now exiting to the east into Adams County, where we have that thunderstorm warning until 5:15. It is booking to the east at 50 miles per hour. Be careful, be safe in Adams County. That's the latest for now. I'll have an update for you later on in the 10-day forecast.
From the air, it just looks absolutely horrible. You see not only roofs of houses off, but you see just everything just like splintered. You know, the power of a tornado is, you just can't believe it until you see it.
Aerial footage shows the damage left behind in Salina today. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine toured parts of the state hit the worst by those tornadoes. He declared a state of emergency in 3 Ohio counties, including in Mercer County. Salina's mayor said the city looks like a war zone after an EF3 tornado rolled through the area, killing at least 1 and injuring 7. Wayne 15's Rachel Russell joins us now live from Salina as she's been going to some of those badly hit areas. And Rachel, what's the latest there?
Dirk, a confirmed EF3 tornado hit this spot right behind me. As you can see, the devastation that rolled through. Now, the road is still closed to get back here at this point, but we talked to some of the victims of the storm.
This devastation I've only seen in the news. I've never seen it in person. It's horrible. A man died.
The people of Salina devastated after storms ripped through their community last night.
I saw roofs off. I saw walls down. I saw windows broke. I saw the lights in cars, windows broke in cars, trees down.
Killing 1, hurting 7, and damaging or destroying at least 40 homes. Karen Kempton hid in her trailer as the storm raged.
There's so much people hurt. There's so much damage.
Area officials say the priorities are getting power restored to the damaged area and opening back up the roads.
People that I've talked to are here in town and asked them how they survive because the houses are so obliterated. They're telling me that they were in their basements. They got the warning ahead of time.
American Red Cross has been a shelter through the storm. Now the next step is helping anyone who needs it.
If they need some food, just a place to rest while they're trying to kind of wrap their hands and their heads around what's going on, if they were affected by the storm, they're more than welcome.
The address for that Red Cross shelter is the Eagles Club here in Coldwater. Now, for now, live in Salina, Ohio, Rachel Russell, Wayne 15 News.
Rachel, thanks. With the tornado that hit Salina last night, it's the second in the city in a year and a half. An EF2 tornado damaged Salina in 2017. That storm destroyed several homes and businesses and toppled trees and power lines. The entire city also lost power following that tornado. 8 people then hurt, those injuries all minor. Another EF2 tornado hit Salina back in April of 2011. At its peak, it had winds up to 115 miles an hour, stayed on the ground for 4 minutes, damaging structures, vehicles, and power lines. Other parts of Ohio also affected by the storms. Near Dayton, people worked to clear the debris. The Sheriff's Department says the storms left many roads impassable. West of Dayton, in Brookville, the sun rose to reveal the massive destruction.
It was kind of an eerie feeling. You had kind of the ear pressure kind of changed in your ears, and then we heard a lot of glass breaking, and then it just sounded like a freight train.
President Trump also tweeted his support for Ohio. He said, quote, "My administration fully supports the people of the great state of Ohio as they begin the cleanup and recovery." Twisters also touched down across Indiana. Federal officials say preliminary reports show more than 50 tornadoes may have hit the Hoosier State Monday. Survey teams with the National Weather Service have spent the entire day looking at damage in 2 parts of northeast Indiana, Wabash and Grant counties. Wayne 15's Adam Solarzik was in Grant County today. And Adam, what have you learned so far?
That's right, Dirk. Yes, the National Weather Service confirmed an EF2 tornado touched down in Grant County last evening. Today I was down there taking in some of the devastating effects that those homes faced in some of those areas in northern Grant County. In the path of approximately 125-mile-per-hour winds was a hay barn that was destroyed and 2 homes that had devastating damage. One of the homes was that of Debbie Carter, who lived there for 42 years and took shelter in her basement.
My little Rosie, my dog. So it was like, and I just sat there thinking, it just came so fast. And I kept thinking, okay, everybody says that things can fall down on top of you, and that never happened. And then I sat there thinking, do I just stay here? Is it done? What's going on? I thought there was a tree that really actually came down my house instead of, I still didn't think tornado. But there's a policeman that was, I guess, off duty, and they came over and called my name. And so I started up the stairs and I said, is my house okay? That's how much I didn't know. And they go, no.
And throughout the day, friends and family helped to clean up the damage. It was quite the scene as we saw the trees that were shredded and homes with roofs blown off. Once again, the National Weather Service confirmed that an EF2 tornado touched down between Somerset and Jalapa in Grant County. At 6, you can hear more from Debbie about how she's coping with losing this home that she's lived in for 42 years. Reporting in the newsroom, Adam Solarzik, Wayne 15 News.
Adam, thanks. A viewer also caught a tornado on camera last night. This is in Wabash County. The driver said he had filmed it 2.5 miles south of Somerset, where he was tracking the storm for about 15 miles. The National Weather Service confirmed a tornado struck Pendleton last night. It was an EF2 tornado. Emergency responders went door to door in the town of about 4,000 to check on people. No one was hurt in those storms. A tornado also touched down near the Illinois-Indiana state line west of Dyer, Indiana. That's about 30 miles southeast of Chicago. Dyer's police chief said police and town officials have been removing uprooted trees and debris from road and sidewalks since late yesterday. Cleanup is underway after a tornado leveled a home in Macy. That is just northwest of Logansport. A refrigerator and a few walls are all that were left there. Officials say it was an EF2 tornado that touched down, and in that area, from power lines to being torn down to trees being uprooted, homes being leveled, officials say no one was hurt. We also have more severe weather coverage on our website, WANE.com. You can download our Wayne Weather app for your forecast on the go and your exclusive 10-day forecast. Also on our website right now, Nexstar, our parent company, currently live streaming a telethon to raise money to benefit Red Cross disaster relief for areas in Ohio hit by the tornado outbreak. Just head to WANE.com and click to donate. Days after a man's found dead inside a Fort Wayne apartment, his death is ruled a homicide. Police were called to a reported shooting in the 3400 block of Cheviot Drive near Paulding Road Friday afternoon. 41-year-old Cora Query was found dead inside a second-floor apartment. Police haven't made an arrest in the case, and no suspect information has been released.
It's always concerning when you hear kind of at the 11th hour that there are some concerns that we need to get over. But, you know, I'm willing to roll up my sleeves and sit down with whomever to say, let's find the solutions.
Over the weekend, we reported that developers of the Electric Works project say a small group of people is working against the project. Today, we spoke with some city leaders to get their reactions. The new claim first appeared on the Electric Works website. Josh Parker with RTM Ventures then told us the behind-the-scenes small group makes potential investors and tenants skittish. Parker wouldn't name who's in this small group and says developers need support from the community to make the Electric Works vision a reality. Today, City Councilman Jeff Paddock, who represents that district, says they have to stay the course. We also called the city to get official reaction. Spokesman John Perlich said, quote, "The city of Fort Wayne remains an engaged and committed partner and wants to see Electric Works succeed. Our focus continues to be on doing all we can to help make Electric Works a reality." Coming up on First at 5, he was the co-host of National Public Radio's evening broadcast for 30-plus years, and today he's in Fort Wayne. Hear from Robert Siegel. Plus, the U.S. Supreme Court makes a ruling on Indiana's abortion law. We'll tell you what they decided when your number one News at 5 returns.
Local coverage you can count on continues with Tara Brantley and Dirk Rowley. You're watching Wayne 15 News, First at 5.
The U.S. Supreme Court is allowing part of an Indiana abortion law to stand, but another part that lower courts declared unlawful will not go into effect. The justices let stand a lower court ruling that Indiana cannot ban abortions performed because of fetal disabilities or because of the sex or race of the fetus. However, the court decided that sided with the state, which says aborted fetuses can no longer be disposed of as medical waste. They have to be cremated or buried. The Supreme Court will likely see similar cases as states pass more abortion restrictions. For 3 decades before he retired, he informed 4 to 5 million Americans each day on National Public Radio's All Things Considered. And today, Robert Siegel is in Fort Wayne to talk with local listeners. We caught up with him at WBOI. They sponsored a lunch and asked we asked him if a national news source can appeal to a diverse country.
I hope so. I mean, there was a time, it was pretty brief, it was mostly in the 1960s when both CBS, in the person of Walter Cronkite, and NBC, in the persons of Chet Huntley and David Brinkley, had programs. We had some common agreement as to what an important story was and what a well-done story was. So we've had that.
Tonight's talk begins at 7 at Sweetwater. A few tickets will be available at the door. And quickly, I want to correct myself. I misspoke. I said 50 tornadoes across the Hoosier State. That was across 8 different states. It felt like it last night.
Yes, with all the tornado warnings that we saw tonight, a number of warnings, no tornado warnings just quite yet. And it's lesser likelihood that we'll see so many tornado warnings around here. Our bigger threats tonight, flooding and large hail. And look at the area on your screen. The flash flood warning now extended farther to the east, including Decatur and Van Wert. Life-threatening flooding occurring in parts of these areas. I'll be back with your 10-day forecast after this.
Local coverage you can count on continues with Chief Meteorologist Nicholas Ferreri's live Doppler 15 Fury forecast.
2 of the biggest weather impacts we've seen from storms so far this afternoon include flooding and large hail. And I want to start off with this video that we got in from a viewer of hail around Huntington near 24. You can see large hail coming down there. That's an incredible sight. Listen to it. Yikes. We had reports of ping pong ball sized hail in portions of Huntington County. Also, around the town of Andrews there in Huntington County, you also received such large hail. Region-wide, additional smaller hailstones reported, like around Rowan. Now, as we continue through the night, we could still see hail affect other areas. Let's jump over to Storm Tracker. You can see where the rain and thunderstorm activity is ongoing right now. It is especially heavy to the south of Fort Wayne. There is not much going on within Allen County or the city of Fort Wayne, just a stray sprinkle here or there. The big story has really been unfolding here to the south. Look at all of these areas highlighted in red. This is a flash flood warning. It extends from Wabash to Huntington to Bluffton and now for Decatur and Van Wert as the heavy rain has shifted over you. Behind it, already a couple of inches of rain have fallen in spots, and that rain falling so rapidly, we're seeing flooding in spots that don't typically flood. That is the risk of a flash flood. It is a quick flood that is life-threatening because the water just appears so quickly and unexpectedly. Now, as we look at what's ahead the rest of the night, we see more rain coming to these areas to the south of Fort Wayne. Here's our computer model estimate of what has fallen over the past 6 hours, and you can see radar picking up on these pockets of 2 inches of rainfall that have come down across that affected area. Thunderstorms moving to the east from Bluffton, Decatur, into Van Wert, Ohio. In the big picture, there's not much happening to the north, and there will be limited activity to the north, rain and thunderstorm-wise here tonight. That's why we have a thunderstorm watch just from Defiance to Fort Wayne, Columbia City onto the south until 8 o'clock tonight. After 8 o'clock, that risk becomes pretty small. Yes, there may still be some rain overnight, but it's not likely to be as strong as what we've experienced so far this afternoon or what we'll experience over the next few hours. As far as our overall risks, we are under a slight risk of severe weather for most spots. Yesterday, we were under an enhanced risk, so this does represent a lower potential. That means severe storms won't be as common, but they still could be quite dangerous, as we've seen already evolve here this afternoon. Hail and floods will be our biggest threats. Of note here, the tornado threat is lower tonight than it was last night, which is very good news. A lot of warm air across the area, 72 in Angola, 73 in Kendallville, 69 in Bluffton, where rain has fallen. Much warmer to the south, just 1 county south. It's 84 in Hartford City. On Futurecast tonight, scattered rain will continue overnight, but remember this late night rain and thunderstorm activity not as strong as what we pick up here this afternoon and evening. Tomorrow morning, we start off with temperatures in the 50s and the 60s. We have another warm day coming our way and another day where some rain and strong storms will be possible, especially as we get into the afternoon and evening. Right now on Futurecast, they don't look too concerning, but don't kid yourself. Some of these cells could become strong ones for us. So for tomorrow, temperatures will be rising through the 70s. We'll peak out in the mid to upper 70s by the time we get to late afternoon. On Thursday, 72, Friday, 75. That remains our only dry day this week. Over the weekend, Saturday, 79, Sunday, 73, and some rain chances then.
All right, thanks, Nicholas. Coming up on Wayne 15, the squad's done something that's never been done in school history. We'll introduce you to the team of the week coming up at 6.
But first, the market has had a 5-week losing streak as investors fixate on China and the current trade dispute. Greg Reynolds breaks down the plan moving forward next on the 2-Minute Money Plan. This week on the 2-Minute Money Plan, we're talking about a rough stretch for markets as investors fixate on China and the current trade dispute. Greg Reynolds, Reynolds Wealth Management, is our financial expert. Joins us every Tuesday at 1 to 5. Greg, always good to see you. You definitely think China is the big reason why.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do get decent data sets out of the economy, and while maybe not turning out quite as much horsepower as it was a year ago, the market in the U.S. economy seemed to be tracking nicely if it weren't for China.
We get bits and pieces of good news, but this is always kind of hanging over that.
Absolutely. So no real forward progress being made on this Chinese front. And until we get some sort of resolution, specifically around the issues of state-owned enterprises and IP theft, until we get some progress there, I don't think that there's any deal to be done.
What's the big thing Washington wants?
So that's what Washington wants is the Chinese to stop stealing intellectual property, and they want relaxation of the requirements for Chinese state-owned corporations to be part of or controlling the enterprises that we bring over there. China says that's a real change to their overall economic structure. It's an assault on their economy and their core beliefs. So the language still seems to me that they're pretty far apart, although these things can change quickly.
But you see it dragging on.
I do. If we don't get resolution at G20, which is the next time Trump and Xi Jinping will be in the same room, then it's unlikely to me that there's any sort of short-term resolution beyond that. It probably drags out well through the summer.
And how do investors continue?
I think investors that have already taken some profits should just be very disciplined and patient in terms of reinvestment of that capital. For those folks that haven't, this is a great time to be employing a strategy of protection in the portfolio to at least shield you from some of the major swings that might happen. It'll smooth out that ride just a little bit.
All right, good advice as always. Greg, thanks for that. For more information about making sound financial decisions, you can contact Greg Reynolds at Reynolds Wealth Management. Next Tuesday on First at 5, we'll tackle another topic on the 2-Minute Money Plan. And be sure to join me tomorrow morning along with Alyssa, Greg, and Michael on First News between 5 and 7 a.m. We'll be right back.
Okay, so the most dangerous storm activity that's out there exists to the south of Bluffton into Adams County, south of Decatur, around the Bern area, and then as we get into Van Wert, Ohio, where we're seeing heavy rain, wind gusts 40 miles per hour, perhaps some hail as well. Additional storms here this evening. We'll watch him closely. We'll be back at 6 o'clock.
Or he'll be back as needed. See you then.